You ever hear a sound that just sums up your whole life in one wild second? For me, it was that screen door slamming against the cedar frame so hard it rattled the antler wind chimes. Grandpa hung back in '87. Those chimes always sounded gentle in the breeze, but not that morning. Not when Patricia Hawthorne stormed into my world, high heels pounding the porch like she was leading an angry parade. Her finger jabbed the air, waving a clipboard like it was a badge from some department of nitpicking. Her voice shrill enough to make the chipmunks in the pine trees freeze mid-leap as she started up about illegal firewood stacking and unpermitted porch furniture. Yeah, you really can't make this stuff up. Now let me back up a second. The real kicker wasn't the noise or the complaints. It was the look on Patricia's face when Deputy Sheriff Jake Morrison's 6'4" tan uniform, the kind of presence that makes grown men sit up straighter, stepped out from behind my fireplace slow as Sunday morning. Patricia's jaw dropped, her grip on that clipboard shaking, her face draining color so fast I thought she might pass out right there. Jake tipped his hat, all calm authority, and said in that low, bourbon-smooth drawl, "Patricia, you just committed criminal trespass on a law enforcement officer's property. No warrant, no invitation, and apparently no sense." I swear she tripped backward out of her own shoes, bolted for her Mercedes, and floored it down the gravel, leaving one fancy sandal behind as evidence. That's pretty much how my life's been since I inherited Grandpa's cabin on Elmidge Road, tucked into 2 acres of pine and old memories out in Birchwood Falls. I'm Daniel Crawford, 38 forestry consultant, coffee addict, and as it turns out, unwilling participant in the ongoing theater that is the local HOA. Grandpa's place is all hand-built logs and wraparound porches standing proud from the days when Birchwood Falls was just deer trails and blackberry thickets. It's a bit rough around the edges, sure, but it's got soul, real soul, you know what I mean? Too bad it came with a target painted on it for every rules-obsessed neighbor within sniffing distance. Patricia ran the HOA like she'd been elected queen of everything. Her husband, some big-shot car dealer, bankrolled her daily crusades against anyone who dared own a garden gnome or, God forbid, let pine needles fall on the driveway. That first week, I got my violation for the crime of existing in a cabin built 3 decades before the HOA was even a bad idea. Supposedly, my cedar siding was the wrong color, yeah? Nature's silver gray was apparently a threat to community standards. Next, it was the pine needles. Then my stone pathway, which was somehow too wide by 2 inches, and then those antler wind chimes. Patricia called them an auditory assault in her complaint. For real. But you want to talk escalation? I installed a porch swing made from old barn wood. That was it. Within hours, she was at my door, face set in that scary mom at the PTA look, telling me I'd have to pay a $150 fee and submit a seating installation request. I handed her a lemonade. She snapped photos of my porch from every angle, muttering about property values. That night, she rubber banded a highlighted copy of the HOA bylaws to my mailbox like a threat. Soon, anonymous complaints, except always signed with her purple ink initials, flooded the suggestion box. My wood smoke, my gravel drive, my pickup truck not being community appropriate. Someone even tattled on my bird feeder for attracting wildlife. I mean, come on, this is the woods. That's when Jake showed up. He's an old friend from the guard, needed a place to crash while apartment hunting, so I let him move into the spare room. Patricia treated this like I'd started a militia. Late-night voicemails about firearms in a family neighborhood as if half the folks here don't hunt deer every November. Then one morning she saw Jake's squad car leave at dawn. She thought the coast was clear. She thought wrong. Jake had circled back on foot after an early call, so when Patricia marched into my cabin screaming about citizen inspection rights and building code violations, she had no clue he was still inside. I was out back chopping wood when I heard her narrating her own illegal search drawers, opening camera, clicking, her voice echoing through the logs like she was hosting some true crime podcast. I started back toward the house, but paused at the window just in time to see Jake step out, badge glinting, looking every bit the lawman. Patricia's bravado vanished, gone like a puff of smoke. Jake's radio crackled, and Patricia made this squeak, half-gasp, half-whimper before scrambling out the door, leaving her designer sandal behind. Jake and I sat on the porch swing. She hated so much sipping coffee and laughing while he called in the incident for the record. Patricia didn't know it was just paperwork. She thought she was headed straight for county jail. Within the hour, the HOA's board president, Robert Kellerman, a retired judge who'd seen enough of Patricia's drama, called to apologize, and soon there was an emergency meeting. By sunset, Patricia was up for a vote of no confidence and a formal censure for conduct unbecoming. She tried to save herself with a PowerPoint called When Initiative Meets Necessity, full of stock photos and pie charts, but Judge Kellerman, bless him, cut her down to size, quoting real laws instead of whatever fantasy statutes Patricia invented. The vote was unanimous except for Patricia, who still raised her hand for herself. But this time it didn't end with HOA slap-on-the-wrist stuff. Jake's report went to the district attorney. Patricia got slapped with criminal trespass charges. Her high-powered lawyer pled it down, but now she's got community service on her record. And then for the real twist, her husband Carl finally got tired of being the bankroll for her neighborhood dictatorship. Turns out HOA president on probation isn't good for the luxury car business. Carl pulled the financial plug, took the Mercedes keys, gave her a Honda, and, oh, this is rich, put her on an allowance. By then, word spread faster than wildfire. Someone, I swear it wasn't me, but I wish I'd thought of it, posted Patricia's mugshot on Facebook with a new meme account called Justice Wind Chimes. The local paper ran a piece called HOA President Learns Hard Lesson, with a photo of my so-called offensive wind chimes right up front. Patricia's community service building houses for Habitat for Humanity houses with chain-link fences and vinyl siding that would have given her hives just a month earlier. It only got worse for her. The real estate board pulled her license. Her staging business dried up. Suddenly, the Queen of Rules was banned from every HOA board in the state. At the next meeting, Patricia sat in the audience. Not up front, Sandra Chin, the new president, got voted in and immediately tossed out half the nonsense rules. Even my cabin and Grandpa's wind chimes got grandfathered in, literally. Patricia tried to speak up at the meeting, clutching her notes with trembling hands, but all she managed was 3 words before she broke down in tears and ran out. That night, someone posted her abandoned notes online, mostly gripes about lawns. The judge even made her pay my legal fees, and thanks to Jake's lawyer buddy, I got a settlement for harassment. 50 grand, I donated every cent to the local animal shelter in Patricia's name. Now she gets their fundraising letters every month. Within 2 months, Carl filed for divorce. Patricia lost the house, moved to a tiny apartment on the other side of town. No HOA wild dandelions everywhere, the kind of place she used to report to city code. I run into her sometimes at the grocery store. She won't meet my eye, just abandons her cart and disappears down the next aisle. Life sure has a sense of humor. The cabin's still here, the cedar's older, the chimes still sing, the porch swing's more comfortable than ever, and Jake stops by for coffee on Sundays. The HOA sent me a written apology, lifetime exemption from all future architectural rules, and even named the hiking path behind my property, Crawford Trail, after Grandpa. I hung Patricia's apology note, just 2 words, I'm sorry, in purple ink on the fridge right next to Grandpa's old fishing photo. But the best part, at the last neighborhood picnic, Sandra handed me a wind chime made from laminated HOA citations. Patricia's abandoned paperwork rattling together in the mountain breeze alongside Grandpa's antlers. So now every time the wind picks up, you can hear the sound of rules breaking and maybe, just maybe, the sound of a little justice blowing through Birchwood Falls. Funny thing is, people are still arguing about who was right, Patricia for trying to keep order or me for standing my ground. Some folks say community needs rules. Others say rules need common sense. What do you think ever dealt with someone like Patricia? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear what justice means in your neighborhood.